Hello, everyone. So welcome to, I've lost track. I think it's episode 11 of Joe's Chats. And today I've got the lovely Lorraine joining me. She's going to talk to you about her journey through, what's been a struggle in her life and how she's dealt with it and dealing with it and still dealing with it, and how it's turned into like a career, really, because of what she's gone through. So at the beginning, don't forget to hit subscribe, because it helps this podcast reach more women who may benefit from listening to my podcast, because it's all about real women with real struggles and how we deal with them. So hit a like as well. I really appreciate it. Without further ado, I'm going to let Lorraine into the studio.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine, thanks. You?
I'm really well, thank you. And I really appreciate you being here with me today, because I know time is precious for us ladies, isn't it? We have a lot to do. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to you. I'll let you introduce yourself, and we'll get chatting.
Okay, so as Joe said, my name's Lorraine. I'm 59 years old. I live in Northumberland with my husband and 2 adult children. My struggles, I've lived most of my adult life with fibromyalgia, and just recently, with regard to sort of the menopause sort of stage, because I'm 59 now, I've gone kind of through that, and didn't really notice, because there's a lot of crossover between the menopause symptoms and fibromyalgia. So for me, it was a bit of a, am I not? What's going on? So there's a lot of confusion, I think, can come up between when you have sort of coexisting conditions as well, because it's like, well, I don't really know. I'm not even sure what's going on.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, with ladies who've got, like you say, ongoing conditions. When perimenopause hits and their hormones start fluctuating, it can exacerbate what they're already going through. So they're not sure if it's just what they've already got getting worse, or that's why they don't know. So that's a really good point there.
I think what really hit me, how I knew, I remember we were away on holiday in 2014, and obviously periods are stopping and you've got bigger gaps and stuff like that, but having some really big bleeds, and I was sort of like, oh yeah, it's starting to make more sense. And then I started looking into it a little bit more, because it hadn't really hit me, because I'd started my periods really early when I was young. I then started, so what, 2014, we're talking about, like, what, 11 years ago now. That's when it started hitting me that actually, you know what, you're going through the change. It's not just fibromyalgia, you're not just losing your mind, you're not getting the aches and pains, it's not just all about the fibro. So yeah, that's
it's nice knowing, isn't it? Because then you can, like, put a reason on it and then deal with it in the right way.
Yeah. And I think, because I'm gonna say I had quite an easy ride with the menopause and the perimenopause, because I didn't really notice it. It was just, it felt like, no, I didn't know any different. Yeah, it felt like it was just, and I touch wood, I haven't had any hot sweats or anything like that, which is completely different to my mum. She was drenched from head to toe. So yeah, I had a fairly easy ride up until, I would say, when was it, 2019, I had some post-menopausal bleeds, and that happened 3 times, and each time I had to go for hysteroscopy. So it got to a point where I didn't want to do that anymore. It's not a nice experience for me. I'm not saying it for everybody.
show when you had them? What did it tell you?
Nothing. There was nothing there, but because it was keep recurring, there's cancer in my family. So it was a worry. And it was a worry I didn't want to have to go through.
Yeah.
So I opted for hysterectomy.
Were you offered that? Or did you look into it yourself?
I looked into it myself. I had to go private for it because obviously with there not being any cancer, not finding anything when they did the biopsies, it wasn't, and quite naturally, I understand it's not something that the NHS would offer because I had a healthy womb. There was nothing wrong. It was me, my mind. I didn't want to have to, that worry. It seemed like it was every 18 months, 2 years, I was having a bleed. And I didn't want to go through that anymore. And I didn't enjoy, well, nobody's going to enjoy anything internal other than, you know.
It wasn't pleasant.
It was, for me, and please don't anybody listening to this put off. If you have a postmenopausal bleed, go and get it seen to. There's reasons why you get it done quickly. For me, it wasn't a pleasant experience. It was probably the worst experience I've ever had in my life, to be honest, the first one, which meant that I ended up going for general anaesthetic for the next 2 after that.
Can you, for anyone who doesn't know what's involved, are you all right to explain? Do?
Yeah. So with the postmenopausal bleed, they automatically refer you to, and they tell you obviously they're doing it for a reason. And for me, 3 times it wasn't cancer, but they are checking to make sure that it's not.
And you're not on HRT, to be clear, no?
I wasn't the first time, but subsequently I was, yes. And that, yeah, that can cause. I've had conversations with lots of other friends actually who've been on HRT, and it's just caused a little bit of a imbalance.
For a little while.
Causes a little bit of a bleed, but you've got to get it checked out just to make sure.
And if you've got it in the family and it's affecting your mental health, then definitely, absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. So you go along and they do a hysteroscopy, which is a little tube that goes into the vagina, looks at your cervix. You put water inside to blow up so that it can have a good look around. And then if everything's okay, you do a biopsy. I would strongly recommend anybody going before one to take some paracetamol beforehand. I didn't know what was going on. I had a vasovagal experience, so I blacked out. And when I came to it, it just wasn't really nice. I was screaming. My mum would come with me. She could hear me screaming.
Did they warn you that could happen? Did you not get any kind of beforehand?
No. I don't know why it happened to me. Other people have had big hysteroscopies and they've been absolutely fine. Just a little bit of a niggle afterwards and they've been absolutely fine. I'm just one of those. I don't know. I have vaginismus, so I don't know if that's related to it or not, but very likely it possibly is. Yeah.
Explain what that is for anyone who's listening.
Yeah, it's the tightening inside. It's an involuntary muscle spasm.
Okay.
And this is because I had really, really bad experiences with smears. Terrible. A really bad experience once. And it's just your brain takes over and involuntary just tightens. Will not let anything
to expect something, so it.
Yes. And it doesn't matter how much you say, and just relax, because you've got no control over it. It's your brain's taking over and going.
If belief coding would help that, just out of curiosity.
That possibly might do, actually. I would never have
had some amazing results from belief coding, so that sprung to my mind then that it might be
worth exploring. Yeah. Thankfully, I don't have to have any more smears.
No,
anymore.
you're all done now, but for anyone who's listening and you've got the same thing, look into belief coding. Yeah, they do.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's worth it.
So, when you decided to have your hysterectomy, I mean, it's not something you take lightly, is it? It's a massive choice. What did you look into, and what were your results afterwards, and how long did it take you to recover? And are you glad you've had it done? Sorry, lots of questions all in one.
To me, it was a no-brainer. After the second hysteroscopy, the worry of cancer. I mean, after the first one, I waited for quite some time. There was a long gap because obviously the first one, it was the worst one. It was awful. I then had to be rescheduled to have it done by general anaesthetic. So it didn't get done within the normal 2 weeks. You're in, you get seen to, you got your results within 2 weeks. I had to be rescheduled, and it was all around Christmas time, which is not a good time for me anyway, because I've had miscarriages. That
stuff coming back.
Oh yeah, I was pregnant with twins and lost them around Christmas time. It's not an ideal time. Anyway, I digress. So this was all getting done around Christmas time, and it was the 31st of December when I got the results by phone that it wasn't cancer. So it was a long time to wait. From the beginning of December to the end of December, worrying myself sick that I had cancer, and it wasn't. And I didn't want to go through that again. After the second time, I asked, could I have a hysterectomy? Was it possible? And I was told no, they just wouldn't do that. And then it happened a third time, and I was like, oh, I just don't want to just keep having to repeat this all of the time. So it was just a bit of it was a no-brainer. I've had my kids. Didn't see that there was any harm to me of losing my womb. So asked privately to go and have it done, which obviously they had their concerns about, but
what were they tell that when you asked them for it, what were they concerned about?
Well, not so much concerns, but why would you want to have an operation when there's nothing physically wrong? There's no reason to take away the womb. Why would you put yourself through an operation? Because it's a major operation.
Yeah.
There's no getting away from that. I think as women, we just crack on and yes, of course. I mean, I've had 2 cesareans, and you just I can still do all this. Yeah. Which again, that's they're major operations. So it was that. It was like, really think about what you're doing here. But they could see that the consultant could see that I was the relief of not having to go through that anymore was better for me.
The anxiety was so strong, I guess. Absolutely putting yourself through that.
Yeah, and I didn't want to go through that.
Do you mind me asking about the cancer in your family? Who was it, and what cancer?
Yeah, my grandmother has had. She didn't die of cancer, but she did have breast cancer.
Okay.
So my paternal grandmother, my father had cancer, died when he was 56 years old. My maternal grandfather, not sure what cancer he had, but there's quite, there's that worry in my head.
Was big anxiety for you. So health anxiety took over, I guess, isn't it? That's what they call it when
Yes.
you worry about things like that. And now that you've had it, how long was the recovery and how was the recovery?
Okay, so I'm going to be absolutely honest. Because I've got fibromyalgia, I wasn't. It took me longer than I thought it was going to take. For anybody who's not aware what fibromyalgia is, it's basically it's your central nervous system just goes into shut down. Everything aches, widespread pain everywhere, brain fog, a lot of what you're going through with menopause and perimenopause. It's very much the same sort of thing. But for me, it's triggered by trauma. So I think mine was triggered. It seems to coincide with me having a parachuting accident. So I've had it all of that length of time. And then I've noticed if there's any emotional trauma that goes on, and I've got my son's autistic, so we often have those flare-ups from time to time, which can cause my flare-ups as well. Any trauma, obviously, having a major operation is a trauma to your body, so it took me a lot longer. They told me about 12 weeks. Physically, well within that, I was okay. The rest, and I'm saying physically as in the operation itself.
Wound, yeah.
I think yes. Yeah, that was fine. I went for my checkups and everything was all fine. Everything was fine. It caused, obviously, you have a catheter when you're having this done. So I had about 3 UTIs afterwards. Chest infection, because obviously they put I've got a history of chest issues as well. So those things, I hadn't kind of weighed up the trauma aspect. I'll hold my hand up. I was just focused on I don't want the cancer scares. I wasn't focused on
over any other
absolutely
thought. Did they not mention that when you went for the consultation? Did they not touch on how it might affect you with your fibromyalgia?
No, I don't honestly, hand on heart, think that a lot of consultants are 100% sure of how fibromyalgia affects people. There's a lot of variations. For me, it's obviously it's had a big impact, and I think it's had. I'm going to be honest. It's had a big impact on me, on my mental health as well. I had to take a good few months off work afterwards, but I'm pulling round. I'm getting there. I'm back on track.
Regrets. Now that you're feeling okay, no regrets. It was worth
no regrets.
That.
Yeah.
Because now you haven't got that health anxiety now, have you?
So. I haven't got that anxiety yet, and I don't have to worry. Just before I went, the letter came for the smear. That so just before I had gone for the third hysteroscopy, and I'll be honest, I held on to it for weeks and weeks and weeks, and that's just stupid.
Yeah.
But it caused me so much anxiety to go for smears because of the issues that I had, that I just didn't want to. I didn't want to go. So they did obviously everything all in one go, and that's another. It's a huge, massive relief to not have to go for smears anymore.
Yeah, I guess so. If that's what's caused the anxiety in the first place, was that first smear on top of your history in your family.
Yeah.
The two together was causing you anxiety. So I can see that the relief there would just be massive, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It's so I'm now on HRT and just trying to juggle my hormones because they're all over the place at the moment.
Yeah. It's going to take time for the HRT to settle and to find the right balance, of how much you need, and and all of that takes time. And that's what I say to a lot of the ladies in my group, because when they go on HRT, they think it's a miracle cure and they're going to start feeling great straight away. And that does happen sometimes, but majority of the time it's juggling around, changing the type, changing the dose till you get it right. And even then, once you get it right, it doesn't always stay right for a long time, because you're heading towards menopause and then postmenopause. So again, your hormones change, so you could have to change your dose.
Yeah.
Do you mind if we go back to, you mentioned a parachute accident, which you think triggered your fibromyalgia. So for anyone who doesn't know what fibromyalgia is, and before I had my support group, I'd heard the word, but I didn't really know what it was. But now that I spoke to a lot of ladies that were in my group that have it, so I've got a bigger understanding, wider understanding about it now. But I know that there's lots of prejudice around it. Am I right? A lot of people think that it's all in the head and it's not a real illness.
Yeah.
So
because a lot of the time you spend years and years and years trying to find what is it, because it's so widespread and there's lots and lots of different aspects to it. A lot of people I've spoken to, they will go to the doctors for one thing, headaches, then they'll go to the doctors for something else, and you just feel like you keep going to the doctors with another thing and another thing and another thing, and you're like, oh God, they're going to think that I'm a complete hypochondriac. And really what you need to do is make a list. This is what I did in the end. I made a list. This is everything.
So you
look at this holistically, please. Yes.
Right.
Yeah. Because up to that point, they were just looking at one thing in isolation, and then another thing and another thing. And what I finally went with was the whole list, so that they could look at it holistically. And then because I remember going to see about problems with my jaw, with TMJ. It turns out that it is, but it was real issue with my jaw. And it was actually the dental hospital who said, have you thought about fibromyalgia?
Oh, really?
Has anybody suggested that to you? And I was like, oh, I don't even know what that is. So that's what started. Yeah.
So then you suggest it then to the doctors after that?
Yes. And then it started looking into. It took about 14 years to get diagnosed.
Wow.
Because you go and there is no physical or there's no real explanation as to why this is causing an issue for you. And when they say it's all in the head, in some respects it is, because it's to do with how the brain processes pain. With fibromyalgia, you process pain in a completely different way to somebody who doesn't have it. In other words, you're feeling it all of the time. There's the electrical pulses which are sending signals to your brain saying you're in pain, when there is no physical reason for, if you pricked your finger and you go, ouch, that hurts. That signal's going to your brain to say, ouch, I've just had a prick. My finger's just, being hurt. That's happening. That you're getting signals in your body when there is not necessarily a reason for it. Yeah, you're feeling pain. Your brain's telling you you're feeling pain, but there's nothing actually making that pain happen. So that's why a lot of people think it's in your head.
Right. So it's something to do with your central nervous system or your immune system, or both?
It's the central nervous system. Yeah.
Right.
So there's a big connection between the gut, the vagus nerve in the gut. That's and because obviously that tells your body how you perceive pain as well. So I've found that by changing my nutrition, changing my diet and going back to sort of cutting out all processed foods, that has massively helped.
Your gut health.
Absolutely hugely helped. Keeping active as well, and it's very, very difficult. And a lot of this will be the same for your ladies.
Yeah. So it sounds like you're describing perimenopause. You know, it's all the things.
Exactly. Yeah. So looking at your gut health, keeping active, and it is really, really difficult. But if you just allow your muscles to seize up, it's going to feel worse. So you have to just keep that movement. I'm not going to say exercise. I'm going to say movement.
And does breath work and meditation help as well?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Okay. Because there's a connection between the vagus nerve. You've got it right. I don't know actually which side it is. It runs all the way through your body. And just the sort of the humming, if you combine humming with meditation, that, not exactly sure of the science of how it works, but it does. It helps to take control. And being on the higher frequency, being on the more, having the positive outlook, hugely helps as well, massively.
So you have to change the way you think and everything that you do in your life to help yourself. When you said yours was, you think that yours was started by the trauma, with your experience now that you're, a founder of Fibromyalgia Wellness and you speak to lots of women with it, do you find that most of the women theirs starts with some kind of trauma, or what's the experience of the women you've worked with?
Very much so, yes. There's a lot. I've read a lot of research, a lot of studies into it. There, most recently, a lot of people are triggered or feel like they've been triggered by COVID.
Oh, really?
And a doctor actually I was speaking to a doctor who said that that the symptoms of long COVID and fibromyalgia virtually mirror each other.
Oh, really?
And yeah, so there's a lot. I think there's a lot of research that needs to still be done into these symptoms of perimenopause, long COVID, fibromyalgia, all of these things which seem to all be linked to maybe hormonal changes, etc.
Belief coding again. I'm sitting here thinking, I don't do belief coding. I'm not trained in it, but I speak to a lot of ladies who are, and I've spoken to them about it. And because you've said it's trauma based, probably, I'm thinking belief coding could maybe help with fibromyalgia.
I think, yeah.
Maybe that's something you can explore.
It's definitely something that I'm going to look into more. I've got a lot of connections with lots of different things that I'm looking into at the moment, and belief coding's on the list to...
The lovely Emma in my group, who's one of my wellness ladies, she does belief coding. So it's definitely worth a chat with her, I think. My brain's...
Yeah, and it's amazing actually when you start looking into how, because at the end of the day, with a lot of things with the NHS, and I'm not knocking it, I work in an arm's length body within the NHS. There isn't the time, the energy, the scope to do an awful lot after diagnosis. So you've got this long lead up into finding out what's the matter, what's happening, get a name for it, and then kind of left on your own to cope. There's only so much that they can do apart from throwing medication at you, which I'm not a huge fan of, I have to say.
What can medication do apart from being a painkiller?
there's muscle relaxants.
Okay.
Painkillers don't tend to work because it's how your brain's wired
Right.
up. And again, there's an awful lot of we're talking about how your brain's wired up, and there's an awful lot of crossover with neurodivergence as well.
Okay. What
A
about
lot of people.
antidepressants? Are you
Yeah,
sometimes
they
with
do.
those?
That they do recommend. They do sort of prescribe antidepressants. I don't take any medication at all. I don't like how it makes me feel.
So with the
I
women
feel
you work with, you can put them on the wellness route of diet and breath work and movement and all of those things, lifestyle changes.
lifestyle
And
changes. Yes, yeah. So I went from being absolute rock bottom and hardly being able to get out of bed. I had one of my biggest flares in 2011 after being made redundant from a job that I was in for 29 years. Thought everything had ended. I thought, oh God, this is the end of everything. We're going to have to make so many changes, etc., etc. I went into a huge, massive flare up, got to rock bottom, and I mean, really, really rock bottom. I just didn't want to go on any further.
really?
It was that bad, yeah. And realised nobody's coming to save you. There's no miracle cures. If you want to get out of this hole, you're going to have to dig yourself out. And that's when I started looking into all of the holistic well-being aspect. And I've spent, must be 20 years or so now, doing loads of research, and went from being at that rock bottom place to, and I still feel so emotional when I say this. I did a Macmillan mighty hike, July, not last year, but the year before, and I completed 26 miles, and I burst into tears when I walked over that line. But it was,
Really,
don't get me wrong, it took years to get to that point. It took a long, long time of
from
building up and building up. Yeah.
It must have been a massive, like, I don't know, from going from rock bottom to not want to continue to then pulling yourself out of that hole. It's like that's massive on its own, isn't it? I mean, where did you start? What was your first thing you did?
One step at a time, just basically one step at a time. Looking at what things that I needed, just looking at holistically what was wrong with all of my different aspects of well-being. So I got introduced. It wasn't just me. I got introduced to somebody, and I'm a great believer in fate, and I think that people come along at the right time. And this person was good for me, and introduced me to various other people, and I really started getting into finding out more about how I could. So the person I was introduced to would actually showed me, and this is something that we have in common, showed me the benefits of aloe vera.
Vera. I was going to say, I bet it was aloe vera, wasn't it?
It was aloe vera, yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So I started drinking aloe vera every day, which, and it was
that's
just
massive testimony, right there, isn't it, of how wonderful this stuff is. I use it on my retreats, and I recommend it to all my menopausal ladies. And there you go, you're sitting proof. So that.
So it just spiraled from there, and I just started looking into, like, okay, I would rather have something which grows naturally than this horrible chemical-y stuff. And I just started looking into more and more things, it just grew and grew, and mind and body just synced But with fibromyalgia, there is no cure. So this is another thing, because people will go, you've just walked 26 miles. I thought you had fibromyalgia.
Mm.
And you think, well, I've got to keep on top of it. I can't for any time let go. I can't just have a couple of days off. And I'm living proof of that as well, because I did have to do that when I had my operation. I couldn't.
And it set you back.
It set me back massively. But I'm on that road to recovery again, because I know that I've done it before. I'm going to do it again. And I'm going to...
So what's your next big milestone then? Have you got something like that walk? Have you got something in the pipeline?
Well, I did sign up last year, rather stupidly, to be honest. I signed up to do the Great North Run.
Wow.
I've done it. I did it 40 years ago to this year. I did it 40 years ago, but because I'm 60 next year, I'm going to defer it to next year, because I'm not fit enough to do it in September. But I will be next
time, and it'd be great to go with your 60th birthday.
Yeah, absolutely, yes. It's on my 60 things to do on my 60th year list.
Oh, fantastic. Oh, I'm really pleased for you.
That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to do another mighty hike as well, because Macmillan's it's a charity that helped us a lot. Obviously, cancer charity. So yeah, I'm going to do another one.
Well, that's great. I'm really pleased for you. And it's turned into a business, isn't it? So you're helping lots of other ladies now, which is amazing.
It's something which I had in my head a long time ago, about 10 years ago. So, but I didn't have the courage to go for it. I didn't. Yeah, I just kept thinking, what do I, what can I offer?
But listen to me, that whole sabotage, imposter thing kicking in. We all have it. We all have it. I have it. It's normal. But I'm so glad that that's the reason why I do these podcasts, because even though I'm a menopause coach, I'm a holistic wellness coach. So it's not just menopause. And like we said at the beginning, lots of these things that ladies go through, whether it's illness or miscarriage or IVF or whatever, menopause and our hormones affects it and makes it all a bigger thing. And it's all about women's wellness and empowering ourselves and educating ourselves, and knowledge is power, I think. And we have to look after ourselves as we get older, because not only do we want to live longer, we want to live longer in good health so we can do more, so
absolutely
all about that. I really appreciate you joining me today and sharing your story.
That's no problem at all. I've enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you. If anyone listening has fibromyalgia or knows anyone who has fibromyalgia, get in touch and we'll put you in touch with the lovely Lorraine, and you can help those ladies on their way as well.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the sunshine.
And you. Yeah, lovely. I have to, yeah.
Good. Thanks, Lorraine. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.